The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm inside me. Alaric, a 46-year-old software engineer in Seattle, stared blankly at the code scrolling across my monitor, lines blurring into meaningless symbols. My life, once a neatly structured algorithm of work, love, and home, was now a chaotic mess of errors and corrupted files. It had started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Bronte, my wife of 15 years, a vibrant and successful architect, had begun working late more frequently. At first, I chalked it up to the pressure of a demanding project, her ambitious designs finally gaining traction. I even took pride in her success, happily shouldering more of the household responsibilities, making dinner and ensuring our two children, 10-year-old Caspian and 13-year-old Willow, were taken care of. But then came the little things I couldn't ignore. Bronte's phone became her constant companion, its screen always facing down, her fingers dancing across the keyboard with hushed urgency. She'd flinch if I entered the room unexpectedly, her replies vague and evasive. The warmth that had always radiated from her touch seemed to cool, replaced by a distracted politeness. I remember one evening in particular. I had surprised her with her favorite flowers, lilies, their fragrance usually filling our home with joy. She barely glanced at them, muttering a perfunctory thank you before hurrying off to take a business call. The lilies sat untouched on the kitchen counter, their beauty mocking my growing unease. The doubt gnawed at me, a persistent background process consuming my thoughts. I tried to dismiss it, to trust Bronte, to believe in the vows we had made. But the seed of suspicion had been planted, and it was taking root, its tendrils wrapping around my heart. One Saturday, Bronte announced she had to attend a conference in Portland. "It's crucial for my career, Alaric," she said, her eyes meeting mine for a brief, fleeting moment. "I'll be back Sunday evening." I kissed her goodbye, a hollow feeling in my chest. As I watched her drive away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I tried to distract myself, taking Caspian and Willow to the park, playing board games, anything to keep my mind occupied. But the image of Bronte, her face tight with something I couldn't decipher, kept flashing in my mind. That night after the kids were asleep, I found myself staring at Bronte's laptop. It sat innocently on her desk, a sleek silver rectangle hiding a potential Pandora's box. I knew I shouldn't, that invading her privacy was a violation of our trust. But the need to know, to silence the relentless voice in my head, was overwhelming. With trembling hands, I opened the laptop. Bronte had never changed her password, a testament to our years of unwavering trust. As the desktop loaded, I felt a surge of guilt, quickly followed by a desperate hope that I would find nothing, that my fears were unfounded. I started with her email. Nothing obvious, just the usual stream of work-related correspondence and promotional offers. Then I checked her browser history. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. I was about to close the laptop, convinced I was being paranoid, when I noticed a folder on the desktop labeled Project Nightingale. Bronte had mentioned a new project she was working on, a large-scale hospital design. I assumed this folder contained the architectural plans and documents related to it. But as I opened the folder, I realized it was something else entirely. Inside were dozens of photographs, candid shots of Bronte and a man I didn't recognize. They were laughing, holding hands, kissing. The locations varied: a cozy coffee shop, a scenic park, a dimly lit restaurant. The pictures were intimate, filled with a warmth and affection that I hadn't seen in Bronte's eyes for years. The blood drained from my face. My hands began to shake uncontrollably. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, the room spinning around me. This wasn't a business trip. This wasn't a demanding project. This was a betrayal, a cruel and calculated deception. I scrolled through the photos, each image a fresh stab wound to my heart. The man in the pictures was handsome, with piercing blue eyes and a confident smile. He looked younger than Bronte, perhaps in his early 30s. Who was he? And how long had this been going on? I searched for his name in the file names, finding a recurring Liam associated with several of the images. A quick Google search revealed Liam as a landscape architect working for a rival firm. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Bronte was having an affair with a competitor, someone she likely met through work. I closed the laptop, the images seared into my memory. I felt numb, disoriented, as if I had been plunged into ice water. My world, my marriage, everything I had believed in was crumbling around me. The next few hours were a blur. I paced the house, unable to sit still, my mind racing with conflicting emotions. Anger, sadness, disbelief, they all swirled within me, a toxic cocktail threatening to consume me. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront Bronte immediately. But I knew I had to remain calm, to think clearly. I decided to call my best friend, Jasper, a level-headed lawyer who had always been my voice of reason. He listened patiently as I recounted my discovery, his voice filled with concern. "Alaric, I'm so sorry," he said. "This is terrible, but you need to gather evidence, document everything. Don't confront her until you're prepared." I spent the rest of the night meticulously copying the photos and emails from Bronte's laptop onto a secure drive. I also started documenting the changes in her behavior, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the emotional distance. I knew this was going to be a long and painful process, but I was determined to protect myself and my children. Bronte returned home on Sunday evening, her face flushed, her eyes bright. "The conference was amazing," she said, throwing her arms around me. "I learned so much." I forced myself to smile, to play along. "I'm glad you had a good time," I said, my voice betraying none of the turmoil inside me. The next few weeks were an agonizing charade. I continued to act as if everything was normal while secretly gathering more evidence. I hired a private investigator, Indira, a sharp and discreet woman who specializes in infidelity cases. She confirmed my worst fears. Bronte and Liam were indeed having an affair, meeting regularly at a condo he owned on the outskirts of the city. Indira provided me with photos and videos of Bronte and Liam entering and leaving the condo, their faces etched with happiness and intimacy. The evidence was irrefutable. My heart broke a little more with each new piece of information, but I remained focused on my plan. I consulted with Jasper, outlining my options. He advised me to file for divorce, citing adultery as the grounds. He also warned me that Bronte might try to contest the divorce, especially if she knew about the evidence I had gathered. I decided to confront Bronte on our 16th wedding anniversary. I had planned a romantic dinner at our favorite restaurant, a place filled with cherished memories. I made the reservation weeks in advance, envisioning a celebration of our love and commitment. But instead, it became the scene of a devastating confrontation. We arrived at the restaurant, the atmosphere warm and inviting. Bronte looked beautiful in a black dress, her eyes sparkling in the candlelight. As we sat down, I took her hand, my heart pounding in my chest. "Bronte," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "we need to talk." She looked at me expectantly, a hint of nervousness in her eyes. "I know about Liam," I said, the words hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. Her face paled. She tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tight. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Don't lie to me, Bronte," I said, my voice hardening. "I know about the affair. I have proof." I pulled out the secure drive and placed it on the table. She stared at it, her eyes wide with panic. "Alaric, please," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "Let's not do this here." "No, Bronte," I said, my voice rising. "We're doing this here now. I deserve an explanation." She began to cry, her body shaking. "It just happened," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "How long, Bronte?" I asked, my voice cold and unforgiving. "How long has this been going on?" She hesitated, then whispered, 6 months, 6 months. 6 months of lies, deception, and betrayal. 6 months of pretending to be someone she wasn't. 6 months of shattering my heart. 6 months, I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "And you were going to keep it from me. I was going to end it," she said, her voice pleading. "I swear, Alaric, I was going to tell you everything." I didn't believe her. I didn't believe anything she said anymore. "I want a divorce, Bronte," I said, my voice flat and emotionless. Her eyes widened in horror. "No, Alaric, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this. We can go to counseling." "It's too late, Bronte," I said, standing up. "You've destroyed everything. There's nothing left to salvage." I walked out of the restaurant, leaving her sobbing at the table. I didn't look back. The divorce was messy and acrimonious. Bronte fought me every step of the way, denying the affair, claiming I was being unreasonable. But I had the evidence, and Jasper was a formidable lawyer. In the end, I won. I got custody of Caspian and Willow, and Bronte was ordered to pay a significant amount of alimony. The aftermath was difficult. Caspian and Willow were devastated by the divorce, struggling to understand why their parents were no longer together. I did my best to comfort them, to reassure them that it wasn't their fault, that I loved them unconditionally. I also had to deal with the emotional fallout of the betrayal. The anger and sadness lingered, threatening to consume me. I sought therapy, talking through my feelings with a compassionate and understanding therapist. Slowly, I began to heal. One day, about a year after the divorce, I received a call from Indira, the private investigator. She had some information about Liam that she thought I should know. It turns out, she said, that Liam has a history of affairs. He's been married 3 times, and each time he cheated on his wife. He's also in serious debt, gambling debts to be exact. I wasn't surprised. It seemed that Bronte had traded me in for a charismatic but ultimately flawed man. There's more, Indira continued. Liam's firm is in financial trouble. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. It seemed that karma had finally caught up with Liam. A few weeks later, I received another call, this time from Bronte. Alaric, she said, her voice trembling, I need your help. Liam has left me. He's run off with another woman and he's taken all my money. I'm broke, Alaric. I have nowhere to go. I paused, considering my options. Part of me wanted to gloat, to tell her that she deserved everything that was happening to her. But another part of me, the part that still cared for her, couldn't bear to see her suffer. I'll help you, Bronte, I said, my voice neutral. But on one condition. You have to admit that you were wrong, that you betrayed me and our family. She hesitated, then whispered, I was wrong, Alaric. I'm so sorry. I helped Bronte get back on her feet, finding her a small apartment and helping her secure a job. I didn't forgive her, but I offered her a second chance. For the sake of our children, I wanted us to be civil, to be able to co-parent without animosity. I never remarried. The experience with Bronte had left me wary of commitment. But I found happiness in my children, my work, and my friendships. I learned to trust again, to open my heart to new possibilities. Looking back, I realized that Bronte's betrayal, while devastating, ultimately made me stronger. It forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities, to redefine my priorities, and to appreciate the true meaning of love and loyalty. I emerged from the ashes of my broken marriage a wiser, more resilient man. And as the rain continues to fall outside my window, I know that I will weather any storm, for I have learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. Life moved on, as it always does, but the scar of Bronte's betrayal remained, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the importance of self-reliance. I poured myself into my work, finding solace in the intricate logic of code and the satisfaction of building something tangible. I also became more involved in Caspian and Willow's lives, coaching their sports teams, attending their school events, and simply being present for them in a way that I hadn't been before. As the years passed, I watched Caspian and Willow grow into remarkable young adults. Caspian inherited Bronte's artistic flair, studying architecture at university. Willow took after me, excelling in math and science, pursuing a degree in engineering. Despite the challenges of their parents' divorce, they had blossomed into confident, compassionate individuals, a testament to their resilience and the strength of our bond. Bronte, too, had rebuilt her life, albeit on a smaller scale. She had found a stable job at a local architecture firm and seemed content with her quieter existence. We maintained a cordial relationship, co-parenting Caspian and Willow with mutual respect and understanding. Although the pain of her betrayal never fully faded, I had learned to forgive her, not for her sake, but for my own. One sunny afternoon, Caspian came to visit me, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Dad," he said, "I've been thinking a lot about Mom lately. I know what happened between you two was really hard, but I think she's changed. She seems genuinely remorseful for what she did." I nodded, acknowledging his words. "I know, Caspian," I said. "I've seen it too. She's made amends in her own way." "Well," Caspian continued, "I was wondering if you'd be open to the idea of us all having dinner together as a family. Just once, for old time's sake." The suggestion took me by surprise. It was something I had never considered, something that seemed almost impossible. But as I looked at Caspian's earnest face, I realized that he was right. It was time to let go of the past, to embrace the present, and to create new memories together. I agreed to the dinner, albeit with some trepidation. The thought of sitting across from Bronte, reliving the pain and betrayal of our past, was daunting. But I knew that it was important for Caspian and Willow, and for myself, to move forward. The dinner was surprisingly pleasant. We met at a neutral location, a cozy Italian restaurant that we had never frequented before. The conversation flowed easily, focusing on Caspian and Willow's lives, their studies, their aspirations. Bronte seemed genuinely happy to be there, her eyes sparkling with warmth and affection. As the evening drew to a close, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The anger and resentment that had consumed me for so long had finally dissipated, replaced by a quiet acceptance. I realized that Bronte's betrayal, while a defining moment in my life, did not have to define me. I had survived, I had thrived, and I had emerged from the experience a stronger, more compassionate person. In the end, I found that the greatest form of revenge was not to seek retribution, but to live a fulfilling and meaningful life, to create a legacy of love and kindness, and to inspire others to do the same. Bronte's betrayal had taught me the true value of loyalty, the importance of forgiveness, and the enduring power of the human spirit. And as I sit here now, years later, reflecting on the journey I have traveled, I am filled with gratitude for the lessons I have learned, the challenges I have overcome, and the love that has sustained me through it all. The rain may still fall, but I know that the sun will always rise again, bringing with it the promise of a new day, a new beginning, and a new hope. So, my friend, if you ever find yourself facing a similar situation, remember that you are not alone. There is strength within you, resilience in your spirit, and love in your heart. Embrace the challenges, learn from the pain, and never give up on the possibility of a brighter future. For even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found.